Yo, what's up guys, you're back with TechNick, and today we have a speed test between the Realme X50 5G and the Oppo Reno 3 Pro 5G. Both of them have Snapdragon 765G processing chips in them, and the Realme has a 64 megapixel EDWRD sensor and 8 gigs of RAM in it. The Oppo comes with a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor, though that's not really relevant to the speed test, but it also comes paired with 8 gigs of RAM. So the only true difference here is the cameras and obviously that wonderful screen. As you guys can see, the specs are pretty similar. They're both on ColorOS version 7. The Realme is saying that it's running on Realme UI, but honestly it is just ColorOS 7. We have a 90Hz panel on the Oppo and a 120Hz panel on the Realme over here. So they're both pretty similar in that respect, that we have an AMOLED panel on the Oppo as opposed to an IPS LCD screen on the Realme. We also have disabled all animations under developer options, and we're going to be using my trendy little fingers. So to keep things accurate, we're going to plug GoPro footage to the bottom left hand corner. Guys, this is TechNick, and without further ado, let's go. So we're going to be starting here with round 1, guys, and as you guys can see, the GoPro footage is at the bottom left hand corner. The bottom right hand corner, we actually have a countdown timer for each round. The Realme snapped the first points in round 1, booting up a little bit quicker over there, with slightly like 3 or so seconds quicker when it comes to boot times. Now when it comes to opening up the apps, the Oppo went in and booted the apps up quicker on initial startup. And when it comes to fingerprint sensors, we have a physical one on the Realme and an under display one on the Reno, and the Realme takes it best 3 out of 3 there, got every single one. And when it comes to face unlock, the Oppo gets the second one over there, but not the point, because the Realme gets best 2 out of 3 over there, giving the Realme its third point in round 1. And now we're moving on to round 2, so we're just making sure that we have high performance mode on over here on both devices. We're going to be going from camera down to PUBG, and for round 3, PUBG back up to camera to test out not so much RAM management, but just to see how fast apps reopen. So the first point goes to the Oppo Reno 3 Pro 5G over here in round 2, and we're going to flip the cameras around, and the X50 gets it there. When it comes to taking a snap, the X50 grabs another point over there, that being the Realme, and then we're going to jump into our next app, which is photos, which the X50 gets again. Now guys, these are both 5G phones. They pretty much have very identical specs under the hood. The only main difference is that the screen size is slightly bigger on the Realme, and that we don't have a curved panel on the Realme over here. We have a curved panel on the Oppo, and the Oppo also sports an AMOLED punch hole panel, where the Realme sports a pill-shaped punch hole over there, but unfortunately they are using IPS technology. The Realme is a hell of a lot cheaper than the Oppo over here, even though we do have the same chipsets and the same LTE bands when it comes to 5G and 5G bands, that is too. Now we're going to shoot over to speed test to check out Wi-Fi speeds over here. We're going to do one at a time over here to check download and upload speeds, as well as how long it takes. 19 seconds on the X50 and 19 seconds on the Realme over here, but we have slightly higher upload speeds on the Realme and slightly higher download speeds on the Oppo, so they got a tied point over there. Opening up Spotify, went to the Oppo over there, and we're going to jump into Photoshop Express to export that photo that we took a snap of earlier. So we're going to go ahead and export this pic over here once we open it up, but opening up the project, the X50 was quicker. Saving it to gallery over here, you guys can see that the Realme was once again quicker, even though they are both running UFS 2.1 storage, no UFS 3.0 storage such as seen on the Realme X2 Pro 8 gig RAM version. We have Adobe Premiere clip opened over here, and we're going to export our project here. This is a 4K clip, and we're downscaling it to 1080p using Adobe Premiere clip, and you can see how much quicker I have sped this up. But the real time seconds is 19 seconds for the Realme, and we did it in 27 seconds for the Oppo over here, so a lot quicker on the Realme, surprisingly there, because they do have very similar specs inside them, and they have the same UFS storage option there too. Now we are opening up Astral VPN since we need this in China over here, and the Realme snags another point there, and then both of them turn them on at the same time. We currently have the Realme at 8 points ahead of the Oppo over here. Really surprising, since Oppo pretty much owns Realme. Everything that Realme is Oppo. Realme's only really been in the game for just over a year. Oppo's been around for a lot longer. So Realme is pretty much the Redmi of Oppo, like Redmi is to Xiaomi, Realme is to Oppo. So if you guys didn't know that, there we go. They are all owned by BBK Electronics, Realme, Oppo, Vivo, and OnePlus. So Oppo, Vivo, and OnePlus being their flagship BBKs, and Realme was introduced as more of a budget-friendly phone, especially for those of you there in India. I'm sure you guys must know this by now. They have very good deals on their Realme devices, such as this very well-priced 5G Realme X50. Opening up YouTube and going into my channel was pretty much the same, and going into video was also pretty much the same. As you guys will see, the phone pop up almost identically timed right there. Now we're gonna shoot over to our next app over here as soon as we get out of YouTube, which is going to be Netflix, to see which one boots open Netflix slightly quicker over here. And we do have the Oppo opening it up to our profiles quicker, and then going into Netflix itself, we have the Realme snagging that point. Now guys, I don't usually speak about points as often as I am right now, but it is so close I actually have to speak about them. For those of you who don't know, I really do slow down the footage 5-6 times to really make sure which phone actually opened the app quicker. I also take into an account my finger touching rate at the bottom left corner on the GoPro footage to keep things as accurate as possible. But so far, when it comes to games, the Oppo Reno 3 Pro 5G is opening Subway Surfers up slightly quicker over there, and the Realme snagged flip diving over there. If you guys are interested in seeing other apps in the speed test, please pop a comment down below to let me know your thoughts on how I can change it and improve it for your viewing pleasure. Now we're going into Temple Run 2 over here, and we are now just 7 points ahead. The Oppo is behind from the Realme X50 over there. Going into Temple Run though, the Oppo Reno 3 Pro 5G snags its next points over there, making it just 6 points behind the X50. We're going to shoot straight into Temple Run there, and now we're going to go into our last game of the bunch, which is PUBG Mobile. Pretty much still the most played mobile game at the moment, also one of the most highly graphic demanding games out there. It takes a while to boot up, so I have sped things up, but we actually had the Oppo opening it up 2 seconds quicker than the Realme. I was a little bit surprised with that, but once again, things are a little bit lackluster when it comes to these two devices. So 5 points behind in round 2 over there for the Oppo, and the Realme snags the first points in round 3 when reopening an app. We're not really checking out RAM management here, more so than we're actually checking out the speeds of reopening each individual app, and the Oppo gets its first point there, making it a tie 1 point apiece in round 3 over here, guys. We're going to be moving on to our next game, which is then going to be flip diving, of course. And once we go into flip diving, you can see that things were very similar there, though the Oppo did snag that one. And going into Subway Surfers, we have the Oppo grab that point once again too. Now we're going to be moving on to Chrome over here, and Chrome has boosted an extra point over there for the Oppo, making it lead by 2 points ahead in round 3, and we got a tie over there. Shooting into Twitter, another tie, so still just 2 points ahead on the Oppo, so it is a little bit quicker in round 3 as it was in opposed to round 2 over there. Slightly outclassing the X50, but not by much, I must add. Opening up Astral over here, things aren't changing too much with that 2 point difference between the two phones in round 3 over here, and the Oppo grabs it again, making it 3 points ahead in round 3. It is very close, guys, but I was very much expecting how close it would be, since they are both running 7nm architectural Snapdragon 765G processing chips in it, which are the new standard for mid-range chips of 2020. You're going to see plenty phones obtain these chipsets in their phones and adapt it to it, and you're going to see more phones with high refresh rate panels. Even though these chipsets aren't really built for high refresh rate panels, it does make things a hell of a lot smoother when just using your phone for general use, such as scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. Now we're going to be shooting onto our last app, and Oppo has definitely taken a 5 point lead in round 3, pretty much making round 2 and 3 even on both phones when you add the points. But because of the boot and the fingerprint and face unlock, the Realme has snagged an extra 2 points overall compared to the Oppo. So they're very similar. It comes down to which one you can afford, which one you think looks best. I honestly prefer the Oppo, but it is a bit more expensive, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching this video as much as I have been making it. And until next time, guys, this is TechNick.